Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't seen any of my videos before or don't know who I am, I'm Jodie and I'm 26 and I have a 4-year-old daughter called Phoebe and I'm engaged to Luke and we are getting married in 18 months. I try and upload twice a week. This week I've kind of started from scratch because I've got a bit laxy-daisy with it. So I upload a weekly vlog on a Monday night and then another video on a Friday, and it could be anything, just whatever I feel like doing that week. So this is my first Friday video of the new schedule, if you will. And to be honest, it is the one I am most nervous about doing, because I'd been saying since I started my YouTube channel I was going to do this video and just hadn't got the kind of guts to do it, but I've decided I am going to do it because it is quite a personal one and it is literally just going to be me sat here for about 20 minutes just talking, but it is about my own journey with polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I suffer from. Basically I'm just kind of going to start from the beginning, from being young and how I got to being diagnosed with it, how it affects me day to day, how it affected me conceiving my daughter, and everything. So I have, if you notice me keep looking down, I have got kind of notes written down because I have, it's kind of stems back to when I was 11 and I am now 26, and if I write it all down in that order, I'm hoping not to forget anything. The reason I've decided to do this video is just if I could help one person who suffers from it or think they might be suffering from it, or just for people who are suffering it to watch and know that they're not on their own, because that's personally why I do like watching these kind of videos, because I like seeing other people and other people talking about it and how they deal with it and how it affects them, because it does affect everyone so differently. Like it's a wide spectrum and there's people at one end and people at the other, and it's just everyone's so different. I'm not going to go too much into all the effects it has on people. This video is going to be just more my journey and the symptoms that I suffer from and the way it's affected me. So if there might be things that I don't mention what other people do suffer from, but like I said, because if I was to do that, I'd be here forever, because it's just such a big thing and there's so many people like that do suffer from it in different and have different symptoms. Some are not affected as much, some are affected more. So yeah, so I'm just going to keep this video to my own personal experience. So I'll just start off just doing a brief description on what polycystic ovarian syndrome is. And basically it's your ovaries have got little follicles on them, but basically with the polycystic ovaries, the ovaries are covered in cysts which prevent eggs being released, which therefore stop you ovulating. I'm not going to go too technical into it because, to be honest, I think it can get too confusing, but in a nutshell that's what it is. It's cysts on the ovaries which prevent the egg from being released, so you don't ovulate basically. My story kind of goes back to when I was 12 years old. From the age of 11, just around about turning 12, I started suffering with, I'm trying to remember it the best I can, but I remember suffering with really, really bad stomach cramps to the point where I couldn't be up straight. I'd be kind of huddled up in a ball, and it was unbearably painful to the point where I was missing school. I'd have a hot bath to try and ease it, but I couldn't lie down in the bath. I just couldn't. There was just no let up from it at all. And at this point, I hadn't even started periods, so didn't think it was anything to do with that. But yeah, there was days where I'd have days planned out with friends and had to cancel, and it kind of just started taking over. And then there was one particular night where I remember I was in absolute agony. I couldn't stand up, I was crying, and my mum ended up taking me to the out of hours doctors because we thought it was like a grumbling appendix or appendicitis or something. It was that bad because it was making me sick. So I went to the out of hours doctor. They sent me up to the hospital and they kept me in and ran tests and ran scans. Anyway, they ruled out that it wasn't an appendicitis or a grumbling appendix. But I remember having blood tests and ultrasound scans and I'm not being able to find anything, and they kept me in from Friday till a Monday, and they just ended up discharging me because they couldn't find anything. And I mean, looking back now, I think, how could they have let me go without knowing what it was? But I seem to have got better, and they'd ran all the tests that they could and couldn't find anything. So that was that. And then the pain never kind of got that bad to that extent where I was having to go into hospital or the doctors again, but I did still suffer with it. It was still a big part of my life and I still struggled with it, but I think I got to the point I just learned to live with it. And then at age 13, I just will apologise in advance that there is going to be mention of like periods and things in this video, because that's a big part of what it is. So sorry for too much information, but I don't want to sugarcoat anything about it. I want to be completely honest. And I think I was about 13 when I started my first period, and I remember telling my mum that I'd started, and my mum was like, oh thank goodness, like I hope this is kind of helps with the stomach pains, because we thought, is it just everything getting ready to start and like building up inside? So when I had that first period, I kind of felt a bit of a relief that them pains might start subsiding a bit now that things have kind of got going with puberty and growing up. But within the first 6 months, me and my mum noticed that my periods were very irregular. I wasn't like your normal 28-day cycle or 30 cycle. I could go 2-3 months without a period, which I mean I was only 13 at the time, but I knew that wasn't normal because all my friends at school were like monthly and they knew where they were at, and the mums didn't. Even my own mum was regular and she kind of knew where she was at, and I just never did. And then the pains unfortunately didn't subside. It was only kind of, the pains ended up being more when I was about to have a period, so them pains were that indication, but the pain didn't subside. I had horrendous skin problems, and it was I just hated it so much, more the unpredictability of when it could be, because I felt like it took over my life, of like my social life. Like if my friends were going swimming, I couldn't be like, oh no I can't, because I know I'm going to come on a period, because I just never knew. So it could be any time. But then as a teenager, my main concern then became my skin, because it was so bad. I used to get such bad breakouts, and to the point it got me down. I was in tears. I was so upset about how bad my skin was, and I was trying all the facial washes. My mum and dad spent a fortune on products just to give me something, because I used to be like, I know all teenagers get spots, but I just always felt like mine were a lot worse, and I just felt like I stood out from the crowd and I hated it. So we tried facial washes, we got things prescribed off the doc to like medicated things, and then it got so bad my mum and dad took me to a Chinese herbalist just to see if they could do anything, and they gave me some tablets. Can't remember what they were, but I used to have to take like 12 a day, which was ridiculous. But they didn't work, and then we went back and they gave me some sachets what I had to drink, one in the morning, one at night, and they were the most disgusting things ever. But I just used to think, if they work, it's worth it, because that's how I felt. I was willing to do anything. And at age 13, 14, I just felt like I was just willing to try anything. Anyway, the sachet didn't work, so then my mum took me back to the doctor, and he said because it was the skin and still the irregular periods, he said the best course of action going forward would just be to put me on the pill. And I remember at that doctor's appointment, I remember the word polycystic ovaries being brought up, but at that time and that age, I'd never heard of it before, and he didn't elaborate on it. I just remember it coming up in conversation and him saying she could have polycystic ovaries, but I think we should just put her on the pill and see, like, it'll regulate your periods, should help your skin. So anyway, did that. I was put on a pill, but the first pill they put me on used to give me horrendous migraines, and so I soon came off that, because in themselves that was just another thing that I didn't need, because they got to the point where I was sick, I was off school, so I went back, and then they changed me over to a different pill, and luckily that agreed with me. I had no side effects from that pill. It cleared my skin up, it regulated my periods, it did what I'd gone for. So that was like age 15, and I just kind of felt like I had a new lease of life. I was starting to get my confidence back. I got in such a good routine of taking it. I never forgot. Obviously, I wasn't on it for any other reason at that age. But I was in such a routine, and it worked, and it did what we wanted it to do. So I was on that from 15, and then I got with Luke when I was 16. And even though I was on the pill, we never solely relied on that for contraception, because another symptom of polycystic ovary syndrome is anxiety, which all through school I suffered from, and I still do to this day. Like, anxious about, I overthink things a lot. So even when me and Luke got together, I didn't just rely on the pill, even though that's what it's for. We were always very careful. So that's like the teenage years pretty much done. Ended the night on the pill, was fine. And then age 20, it was around the Christmas time, and I was 20. Me and Luke had been living together for just over a year, because we moved in our first house in December, and it was just after the second Christmas, so it had just been a year. And we'd gone out for a meal, and I just remember talking and us saying we felt like by this point we'd been together 5 years, 4 or 5 years. We'd been in our house for a year, we'd got like a bit of money saved, we both had full-time jobs, we had a good income. And I just remember we just kind of felt, even though we were, in some people's eyes, we were very young, I was 20 and Luke was 23, we kind of started talking about the future and children. So around the December, January time, we'd already kind of said we were going to give it till the end of the year, so like the November, December time, and then I was going to come off the pill, and we were going to start thinking about trying for a baby. And at this point I'd kind of always had it in the back of my mind about what the doctor had said, that I'd got polycystic ovaries, but I still didn't know what it was, so I just didn't think anything of it. But literally 2 weeks after we had the conversation and decided on what we were going to do, like a year ahead, I had to go to the doctors. Just, even though I used to get the pill and repeat prescription every 6 or 12 months, I'd have to go in and see them just for them to check my blood pressure, check my weight, and just check that I was doing okay on the pill. So I'd gone like the middle of January for one of those appointments, and my blood pressure was really high. So then the nurse that I saw, she was like, you need to come off this pill, like with immediate effect, really, because of your blood pressure. So in my head I was like, right, this is a sign, like I'm not gonna go on something else for the sake of 6 to 9 months, because we knew we wanted to start thinking about a family. But I just kind of said to the nurse in conversation, I said, right, well, I remember coming in when I was about 15, 16 and being told that I could possibly have polycystic ovaries, but never got spoken to it in any detail. I said, is there any way of being tested for it, or to confirm if that's what you've got or not, just so I know where I stand? And she was like, yeah, you can have like routine blood test done and go for like an internal scan. So she referred me on to have that done. And by the time the blood test and the scan were done, it was like March time. And I remember I had the blood test done first, but didn't get the results straight away. And then went for the scan. I just remember tottering off on my own. Didn't feel the need for anyone to come with me because I didn't expect to come out upset or anything bad to happen. And not that anything bad did happen, but I went in. Literally, I went out of work for an hour. Went in, gowned up, had the scan, and they told me there and then, and she was like, yeah, you on both ovaries, they are literally, she showed me on the screen, and they were both covered in cysts. And then it just kind of hit me there, and then I was like, right, I said, what does this do with regards to my chances of conceiving a child and getting pregnant? And she said people with polycystic ovaries do struggle a lot, and you can never promise somebody that it's going to happen for them. So she said the next stage would be to book in back with my GP to discuss the results further, and then potentially get referred on to fertility, like a fertility clinic. But I remember I came at that appointment kind of just a bit overwhelmed, and I think it was the fact that I'd officially been diagnosed and I'd seen it on a screen. She showed me the cysts on my ovaries, and she showed me everything, she explained everything. And I came out just a bit overwhelmed, just drove back to work in a bit of a daze, got to work, and I just broke down in tears to my manager, and I was just absolutely like inconsolable, because I just kind of just kept thinking, oh my god, there's nothing I want more in this world than to be a mum, and I might not be able to do that. And the thought of that was just heartbreaking. I phoned Luke, I was in tears. My manager ended up sending me home, so I went home to my mum and just broke down, and she was kind of trying to be the voice of reason and just say, listen, don't, even though I was upset, she was like, they can do a lot these days, and don't think this means you're not going to have children, just see what happens. So that was the March. Went back to the GP, and he said, because I had even though I'd been diagnosed with the polycystic ovaries, I got it on the scan, before they could refer me to fertility, we had to still try naturally for 6 months, because we'd not effectively been trying, because I'd only been off the pill for 2 months. So he said before we could refer me, we had to try for another 6 months just to see if it could, because people with polycystic ovaries, people do get pregnant naturally. It's not that you can't. Some people do, some people don't. Everybody's different. So that was the March, and then we was heartbroken, but we just kind of thought, right, we'll just do what we've been told, we'll just try naturally. If in 6 months it's not happened, we'll then get referred on to fertility specialists and take it from there. And we just got in our mindset to take it one step at a time, which is what we did. We had a holiday over that summer, went away for 2 weeks, which did us the world of good. But again, within that period of coming off my pill, in the January, I think I must have had, between the January and October, I had 2 periods. So it was hard to try and track when I was ovulating, because I didn't know. I never knew when I was going to have a period, when I was going to ovulate or anything. It was so hard. So we did what we were told, we tried until the September-October time, unsuccessfully, and the amount I spent on pregnancy tests and ovulation tests was ridiculous. So went back to the doctor, and she referred us on to the fertility clinic near us, and we had our first appointment there in the November. The lady I saw was absolutely fantastic. She just put my mind at ease, and she sat us down, and she was like, right, the first step in trying to conceive, I suppose on the NHS they do it the cheapest way for them first and the less invasive way. So she said that the first step would be to take Clomid, or that's the trade name, it's actually Clomifen. Clomifen is a medication to release hormones which stimulate your ovaries to ovulate, but you need to take it on day 5 of your cycle. You start taking it on day 5, well, depending on what your fertility, it can be either day 3, 4 or 5, but mine told me to take it on day 5 of my period. But my hurdle as well was I didn't have regular periods, so I couldn't predict when it was going to be. So what they did, they gave me a medication to induce a period, a bleed, and then on day 5 of that bleed I'd take 50 milligram clomiphene tablet for 5 days. So we did that, and then I can't remember what, so then you take it for 5 days and you're more likely to ovulate day 5 to 10 days after finishing the 5-day course of Clomid. So say I started taking Clomid on day 5 of my cycle through to day 10, I would more than likely ovulate day 15 to 20 from the start of that cycle. So I started off on the lowest dose, which is the 50 milligram, took it for the 5 days, and then after, so I can't remember exactly how many days after finishing it, I went back for blood tests, which they look for, the blood test check your hormone levels, and it's something to do with the hormone levels. It'll indicate whether you've ovulated or not. So yeah, so the blood test results indicated we hadn't ovulated that month and it hadn't worked. So then you can then up it to 100 milligram dose, but it can be done as early as 30 days after your first cycle. So then I got given another tablet to induce a bleed, and then I took 100 milligram dose, so 2 50 milligram tablets. Same thing, same kind of thing. Day 5 of cycle, started taking tablets for 5 days, went back for blood tests. Again, she said, your hormone levels have indicated you've not ovulated, it hasn't worked again. So we're to try the 100 milligram dose one more time, and then if that doesn't work, we'd then have to consider other options, because they do the Clomid 3 times. So, but I was kind of starting to feel a bit defeated in that. Not defeated, because I knew we were kind of in the early stages, but between finding out I had it, I'd done a lot more research on it and spoken to people who had it, and someone I know took 3 years to get pregnant. So again, that was why we was like, no, we need to start now, because we need to give ourselves the best chance possible. So we did the 3rd cycle, went for the bloods, and she was like, no, it's still not looking, not that you'd not ovulated, but something not enough to have gotten pregnant. But then about 3 or 4 days after those blood tests was, so she told me that it probably hadn't worked, but then we had to wait so many days before we could go back and start the next cycle of something, which I think would have been some form of injections. It wasn't IVF, it was something else, but I can't quite remember. So we got the appointment booked for say like about a month later, but about 3 or 4 days after that blood test was Valentine's Day, and I'd since starting the treatment, I always kind of said if I wasn't pregnant by Valentine's Day and we were still doing the treatment kind of thing, I was going to do a test on Valentine's Day just to see. But after having them blood tests and them telling me kind of no, it hadn't worked, I decided I wasn't going to do it, because I just thought, what's the point? It's obviously not worked, so we'll just kind of see where we go at the next appointment. And I was talking to the girls at work, because the girls at work are really close. We're not just colleagues, like all quite good friends. And they were all like, no, Jodie, just go and get one and do one, because you just never know. So it was Valentine's Day, I was at work. I ran to the local supermarket, picked one up, went and did it in the upstairs bathroom at work. And I literally, it wasn't a digital one, it was one where the lines appear. And I was sat on the toilet, looked, and I could see the faintest line, to the point where I thought my eyes were playing tricks. I didn't think it was a genuine line, I just thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, and I still thought it was negative. And so I kind of washed my hands, ran downstairs to my manager, and I was like, do you see a line? And she saw it straight away. She was like, yeah, it is really faint, but there is one there. But bearing in mind, I had done the test at lunchtime as well, and they say when you do a pregnancy test, you're better off doing it first thing in the morning. So I'd got a 2-pack, so I thought I'll do the second one the following morning. So I went home, told Luke, but we were trying to not get too excited, because I still couldn't believe it, and I still thought it was too good to be true. So the morning after, did the second one, and again the line was there. It wasn't the darkest, but it was darker than the day before, and it was there. But then I started thinking, I can't believe it till I see the word pregnant. So I went out and bought some digital ones, and I did about 4. Anyway, they were all positive. So that third cycle had worked, and I don't know with the blood test, had I gone a bit too soon? I just don't know what had happened, but it had worked, and we were pregnant. So I was absolutely over the moon. We were so happy, and we felt so blessed. And then we had an early scan at 6 weeks, and it was just the faintest little dot, and we could see the little heartbeat, and we were just in love with her then. And then we had another scan at 8 weeks at the fertility clinic, and then after that 8-week scan, because everything was fine, we was discharged from there and then just sent to normal, like I booked in with the midwife at my GP clinic, and then just went through the normal channels. So we had a healthy pregnancy, a healthy birth. Everything went fine. We had a little baby that had been so longed for, and I think when someone tells you you can't have something, you want it more. So she was she was amazing, and she still is. So we had her, like I said, healthy pregnancy, healthy birth, and then I started thinking, because I'd been so good on the pill and I was fine on the pill, I'd started thinking about going back on the pill after having Phoebe, just again to regulate the periods and keep my skin at bay. But I went, after having her, I think my first period was after 2 months or something. So then I went back to my GP, and he was like, yeah, we can put you back on the pill, but we need to check your blood pressure first. But lo and behold, my blood pressure was still high. I went back about 3 times at different times of the day to check the blood pressure, and it was showing up high every single time. So they ended up giving me a 24-hour blood pressure monitor, which I had to wear at home, just to, she said, just day-to-day life, just see how you get on. So I had this monitor attached to my hair, that little box that I had to kind of hook on my trousers, and I had to have that on for 24 hours. So then I went back, and luckily the readings for that were normal. But in the meantime of having all this blood pressure up and down, and the doctor was saying we can't put you on any contraception until your blood pressure's stable, I'd kind of gone away from the pill and thinking I might try the contraceptive injection, because my mum had been on that like years ago, and she said it was fine for her, and it was 1 injection every 12 weeks, fine, you don't have to think about it kind of thing. So I decided I was going to try that. So we got my blood pressure stable, had the injection, but it just did not agree with me. Literally about a week after having the injection, I started bleeding, and I did not stop for about 8 weeks. And I had horrendous migraines on it. It just did not agree with me at all. The 12 weeks was up. I went back and I said it didn't work for me. I just want to go back on the pill. It's the thing what I find it the best. I was fine. I was good at taking it. It was fine. Because they say as well, even if you struggle to conceive after having your first child, it makes you more fertile. So we were wanting to be careful, because we didn't want any little, we weren't ready for another child straight away. So anyway, the doctor put me back on the pill. It was fine. So that was when Phoebe was about 6 months old. In the end, I think I went back on the pill. And again, through being on the pill, I was having regular periods. Well, not periods, because they're not proper periods when they're on the pill. They're just a bleed. But I was having regular bleeds. My skin was fine. But after having Phoebe, that's when my weight started to creep up. And again, that's another side effect. And it's just all one big circle. I comfort eat because I'm down about my weight. But I don't do myself any favours. But that is a big part of polycystic ovaries: weight gain, greasy hair, which I do suffer with. I was on the pill, so I've been on it for 3 years, and then last year I went back just for my routine check, and lo and behold, my blood pressure had gone up again. And they said they thought it was something to do with, like, it was probably my weight. So I managed, cutting a long story short, I joined Slimming World and managed to lose a stone. But then me and Luke kind of started thinking about because Phoebe's like was 3.5, and we kind of started thinking about another child in the future. So again, when she told me my blood pressure was high, I just decided to stay off my pill and just see what my body did on its own, like not in the sense of conceiving, just in the sense of what my cycles were going to go to be in. So we used other forms of contraception. So again, I came off the pill, I think it was February last year, and then the August I still hadn't had one period, and I wasn't pregnant because I knew I wasn't, because I was taking tests just to put my mind at ease because I'd not had a period for so long. And in my back of my mind, I just knew something wasn't right. I just thought it's just, you have that gut instinct sometimes, I think. So I went back to the doctors. They referred me to gynaecologists, and they did another internal ultrasound. And again, my ovaries are still covered in cysts, but they also found a polyp in my womb, which had appeared since last time, which they wanted to remove because polyps can turn cancerous. So I had the procedure to have that removed late last year, which on its own was quite horrific, but I'm not going too much into that. It didn't go to plan. But anyway, they managed to get it out. It was biopsied, it was fine. But he said if that hadn't been detected, that would stop you getting pregnant in future. Not in the sense of it doesn't stop you ovulating as such, but if you do ovulate and an egg fertilises, that would stop it attaching to the wall of your womb, so you wouldn't be able to grow your baby. But I came, in that time, I just kind of broke down again to Luke, and I just said, I feel like we've not got one hurdle to overcome at times. We just feel like we've got more and more going against us. And I don't want to sound, we love Phoebe with all our hearts, and if we can only have her, we'll live with that. That will be fine. But my heart does long for one more child, and then our family will be complete. If I had another baby and then they told me there's 100% guarantee I'd never be able to have any more, that would not bother me. Yeah, so like I said, I don't want people to think, because I know there are people out there who are struggling to have one, and I am so grateful for Phoebe, and if she is all we're blessed with, so be it. But I have decided to just stay off my pill just for now, because we are getting married in 18 months, and from then, that's when, if we're going to go ahead and pursue more any treatment to have another baby, that's when it'll be. But I want to I don't want to go to the GP after we've got married and him say, you need to have been trying, or you need to be off your contraception for so long before we can do anything. Yeah, so I'm trying to let my body just do its own thing on the, like, have its own cycles, and just see, and then either just before we get married or just after, we'll kind of probably go down the route of seeing if we could, with treatment, we can conceive of a second child. But yeah, because I'd love Phoebe to have a little brother or sister, and she would, and it'd just be the icing on the cake for our family. It would just complete us. But yeah, but we'll see. In about 18 months, we'll take it forward from there. But I still live day to day with the symptoms of polycystic ovaries. I still struggle with my weight, I've oily skin, my hair, anxiety. It does take over sometimes. And period wise, I think earlier on this year I did kind of go through a spell where I thought I was kind of miraculously, they were becoming a bit more regular. I kind of was going 6 weeks for like 3 on the bounce. I had a 6-week break, and then after that third one there was nothing until this week, which is like 4 months later. And then this week has just been horrendous. It's been the heaviest I've had for a long time. It's been horrible. But yeah, so I hope just by watching this I can help somebody or anything. And if anyone has any questions, just add me on Instagram. It's GeorgieLittler91. I'll add the link below, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I shall see you all soon.